Story 1. AITA for backing out of being my sister's maid of honor after she demanded I change my appearance? I'm a 30F, and my younger sister Amy, 28F, is getting married in a few months. We've always had a close relationship, so naturally, she asked me to be her maid of honor, which I was thrilled about. I've been super involved in the planning, dress shopping, helping with invitations, and even throwing her the bridal shower. Now, a little context, I've always had a very unique sense of style. I have colorful hair, currently a bright blue, a couple of visible tattoos, and a nose piercing. My style is a big part of who I am, and Amy has never had a problem with it before. But a couple of weeks ago, she sat me down and told me that for the wedding, she wants me to tone down my look, specifically, dye my hair back to a natural color, cover my tattoos, and take out my nose ring. She said she wants a classic, elegant wedding and doesn't think my current look fits with that aesthetic. I was pretty hurt because I've always been myself, and it felt like she was asking me to change who I am for her big day. I told her I wasn't comfortable with making those changes, but I'd still love to be her maid of honor. Well, Amy wasn't happy. She basically said it's her wedding, and as her maid of honor, I should be willing to make a small sacrifice for one day. When I refused, she said if I couldn't do that, she'd rather have someone else as her maid of honor. So, I told her I'd step down. Now my family is in an uproar. My mom says I should just dye my hair and change back after the wedding to avoid drama. My sister's fiancé even called me to tell me I'm being selfish and ruining her big day. Amy won't speak to me and has already asked one of her friends to be the new maid of honor. I feel really conflicted because I don't want to hurt my sister or ruin her wedding, but I also feel like she's asking too much of me. AITA for refusing to change my appearance and stepping down as maid of honor? Best comments. 1. NTA for refusing to change your appearance and stepping down as maid of honor. Your sister's request puts you in a difficult position where you'd have to alter a significant part of who you are for her wedding. It's important to maintain your own sense of self and comfort, especially when it involves something as personal as your appearance. It's understandable that Amy wants her wedding to reflect a certain aesthetic, but it's also crucial for her to recognize that your individuality is an important part of who you are. You were honest and willing to support her in other ways, but changing your look in such a drastic way just for one day crosses a boundary that's reasonable for you to maintain. Your family and Amy's fiancé might not fully understand your perspective or the importance of staying true to yourself, but that doesn't mean you're wrong. It's natural for emotions to run high in wedding planning, but standing up for your own values and comfort is important. It's unfortunate that this situation has caused such tension, but sometimes boundaries need to be respected to maintain healthy relationships. You've already shown your support in numerous ways, and it's unfortunate that this one issue has become a point of contention. Ultimately, you deserve to be appreciated for who you are, not pressured to conform to someone else's vision. 2. NTA. Your sister sounds really shallow and selfish. You feel like she's asking too much of you because she is. Imagine your own wedding. Now imagine telling your sister and mom they need to match your aesthetic at that wedding, and they can dye their hair back after. How are they reacting, in your mind? Yeah. This is a gray rock situation. Just keep saying no, and decline to discuss it further. If they push beyond that, maybe mention how extremely weird they're being about this. Story 2. AITA for canceling a vacation I planned for my friends after they kept joking that I'm the mom of the group? I, F30, have always been the planner in my friend group. I enjoy organizing trips, events, and making sure everyone is included and has a good time. Over the years, I've planned several vacations, dinners, and parties, and it's always been something I genuinely liked doing, until recently. Lately, my friends have started calling me the mom of the group, and at first, I laughed it off. But it's become this running joke where they make comments like, "Oh, you're the one always making sure we're on time, or you'll take care of the details, we don't need to worry." It's even gone as far as them teasingly calling me mom in group texts. What started as lighthearted has begun to feel like they take me for granted, expecting me to always handle everything. We had a trip coming up, one I had spent a lot of time organizing, booking the Airbnb, arranging transportation, and researching activities. I thought my friends would at least pitch in or show some appreciation. Instead, the jokes kept coming, and nobody offered to help with any of the planning or logistics. So, I reached a breaking point. I canceled the entire vacation. I told them I was tired of being the default planner and that I wanted them to take responsibility for once. Now, they're upset with me, saying I overreacted and ruined our trip for no reason. Some even said that I was being dramatic and that the mom jokes were all in good fun. I feel conflicted. On one hand, I don't want to be the one always expected to plan everything, but on the other, I know canceling the trip affected everyone's plans. AITA for canceling the vacation because I was tired of being treated like the mom of the group? Best comments. 1.info You mentioned you have always been the planner. So, it seems as if this has been the status quo for a while? If you've always done all the planning, and, apparently enjoyed it, why would your friends think anything had changed? Have you ever stepped back and suggested someone else plan the trip/event? Do you ask them for any input? Did you ever communicate that you weren't feeling appreciated? You said you just laughed off the mom comment. Was there anything said after that, so they knew you really didn't appreciate being called mom? I get it. I'm the planner. I love doing the research, finding the best deals, finding the out-of-the-way places/not the usual touristy stuff, or out-of-the-ordinary decorations. I'll ask if anyone has any input, which at times they may. And off to Google I go, but they pretty much leave it up to me. They know I love it and know I'm good at it. I've never felt unappreciated or taken for granted. The fact that they do have so much trust in me, time after time, to take care of everything makes me feel good. 2.info Did it cost anyone money when you canceled the trip? If not, then there's no behavior here. You are choosing not to play mom to your friends. Is the timing bad? Sure. Would it have been bad if you had done it during the vacation, when no one else had any details on the logistics? Probably worse. The point is, whenever a group of people are getting free concierge services from someone, it will never be convenient when that service is cancelled. So, as long as it didn't cost them any money, I'm going to say NTA. But if it cost them money, then yeah, you could have found a way to hand over the planning to someone else. Story 3. AITA for telling my daughter-in-law OMG, not everything is about you when she got emotional over a cat. I have had ongoing issues with my daughter-in-law, 33F. She tends to make a lot of situations about her, even when it doesn't seem appropriate. Really she is very sensitive and it happens almost every even. My son, 35M, and she have been married for 5 years, and while I've tried to get along with her, this habit is becoming harder to deal with. Recently, during a family gathering, we were talking about our old family cat. This cat has been dead for 12 years. She has never met this cat and I don't even think she has seen a picture of her. The conversation was lighthearted, with us sharing fond memories of the cat, mostly about how dumb she was. She was an orange cat and had a single brain cell. Out of nowhere, my Dill started crying and talking about how sad it was that the car is dead. She got really emotional, and the whole conversation shifted to comforting her. People were either trying to get her to calm down and standing around confused/uncomfortable. This has happened before and multiple people have brought it up. Usually she ends up crying and my son is very overprotective of her at this point. I think she has cried at almost every event. In the moment, I was frustrated and said, OMG, not everything is about you, you didn't even know the cat. My son immediately got defensive and told me I was being insensitive and she started crying harder, and now both of them are upset with me. My son think I was a jerk and need to apologize. AITA for saying that when she got emotional over a cat? Best comments. 1. NTA. She sounds insufferable. To salvage the relationship, I'd probably go to both of them and say something like, the way I snapped wasn't kind and I apologize for my reaction. In truth, I am concerned. Getting overly emotional so often over innocuous topics/situations makes me worried you're dealing with something deeper. I'm here to support you in finding an appropriate person who may be able to help you get to the root of things. Moving forward, we will remove ourselves from the situation to afford you the privacy you need in these emotional moments to gather yourself. 2. A 33-year-old woman started hysterically crying over a cat that died over a decade ago, who she never met. Op your NTA but is Dill okay? Like this, isn't normal behavior. Story 4. AITA for moving our second car away from the house after my wife refused to pay for it? My wife and I have always only had one car until recently. We have a toddler, so she's been mostly a SA parent to save on childcare cost until preschool, just working a couple times a week here and there for spending money. She brings in around $1,000 a month doing this. I cover all the bills, and I've gotten a few raises and promotions over the past couple years, but not enough to handle 2 car payments. My wife has been wanting a car to get around while I'm at work, shopping, events for our kid during the day, etc. I did the math, and told her we can only get a second car if she helps pay for some of it, otherwise I can't afford to pay for it on my own. We were already leasing a newer SUV at the time that she loved and I didn't really care for, so we agreed that she'd cover a $400 monthly payment and I'd cover insurance, gas, maintenance, etc. She was fine with the plan and agreed. I spent some weeks looking around, then went and bought a car I liked. Now we have 2 vehicles. I didn't have to pay for the first 60 days on the new car, so let my wife save up money while I continued paying for the SUV payments. 60 days later, Wife tells me she only has $300 of the $400 and is upset that I expect her to pay for the car she agreed to pay for. I just have her send the $300, cover the difference, and remind her that I can't afford 2 cars, so it's important she budgets the money she earns properly. Keep in mind, she has no bills aside from like a credit card. The next week, she ran over something in the road and destroyed one of the tires, so I keep up my end and get the tire replaced and another tire patched for a couple $100. Next month rolls by and it comes time for the next payment. I remind my wife payment is coming due and she simply responds, "I'm not paying it." At this point, it's become pretty clear that she had no intent to pay after she paid the $300 from the previous month, continuing to express that she shouldn't have to pay. I start talking to her about accountability, which she absolutely hated, and told her I'll have to take the car away because she didn't fulfill her end of the agreement, which she didn't dispute. When I got home, I cleaned the SUV out and took it away from the house to a safe location. When I got back home, my wife was livid. We are now back to one vehicle, which she has full access to when I'm not at work. She has not spoken to me since I took the car away, about a week, and refuses to drive the car we have. She has been calling Ubers or her friends/family to take her places. It really just seems like a big accountability problem to me, but I spoke with a couple family members about it and one believes I'm justified while the other believes I'm dead wrong. And so, I ask the people. AITA? Best comments. 1. NTA. Why are people always saying stuff like have an adult conversation like that will magically fix a situation when you are dealing with an irrational person? It sounds like Op has been rationale. He wanted his wife to have a car and worked out an agreement with her to make that happen. She agreed to his proposal. She immediately betrayed the agreement by paying less than she promised. He accepted the lower payment with the belief that she would get on track the next month. This makes sense to me because I would believe my wife intended to keep her word. She then lets him know that she has no intention of paying her portion of the car. This is insane. I assume she expected him to magically find the money. He didn't. What he did do was resolve to sell the car, take her off the insurance, and move the car so she wouldn't drive it. It sounds petty, but it's significantly less severe than lying about making payments for a car you want and leaving your partner screwed. He said he plans to offload the car and is working to make that happen. This too makes sense. His wife just tried to pull a fast one and is upset that he's unwilling to be scammed. I don't have a ton of patience for people who try to scam me, family or no. I would have even less patience for her, given that he pays all the bills. That said, Op should win an award because I'd seriously be contemplating leaving her because of her actions. Specifically, I would have trouble trusting her ever again. I would also be resentful because she knowingly tried to stick me with a bill I couldn't afford while she keeps every dollar she earns. And then she has the nerve to be upset with the consequences of her actions and is paying for Ubers. Yeah, a lawyer would be top of mind. 2.info, where did her $1,000 per month go? You are living apart, financially, which doesn't make much sense for a marriage or for a family with children. The two of you need to work together. Something is going on here, and it's not clear what that is. But you need to act like a unit, instead of like roommates. And you definitely should stop acting like you're her dad. 3. NTA, your wife made an agreement and then has reneged on it and it comes across as she wasn't intending to contribute in the long run. You've made it clear that you can't afford 2 cars, so I'd either sit down with her and state she either pays the agreed amount or it gets sold. Sounds like wife didn't want to part with her spending money for a car. You probably didn't need to remove the car, just take the keys. Story 4. AITA for refusing to let my best friend's fiancé propose at my wedding? So, I, 30F, got married last month to the love of my life, and everything went off without a hitch, except for one awkward moment. A week before the wedding, my best friend, Maya, 29F, asked if her fiancé Jake, 28M, could propose to her at my reception. Apparently, Jake thought it would be romantic and was convinced that it would make their moment more special. Now, I love Maya, but the idea of having my wedding overshadowed by their proposal didn't sit right with me. I politely said no and suggested they have their own special day. Maya seemed a little disappointed, but she said she understood. On the wedding day, I noticed Maya and Jake were acting distant, and it was clear something was off. I later found out that Jake was upset with me for ruining his plan and felt like I'd been selfish for not allowing them to share in the love of the day. AITA for refusing to let them have their proposal at my wedding, or was I being selfish by not letting them make it a double celebration? Best comments. 1. NTA. Your wedding day is about celebrating you and your partner, not serving as a backdrop for someone else's proposal. Proposals at weddings are often seen as inappropriate because they can shift the focus away from the couple being celebrated, which is exactly why you were right to say no. Honestly, Your friend should have known better than to ask in the first place. It's common sense that it's rude to make someone else's wedding about you, and I don't understand why she even thought that would be okay. It's your day, not an open mic for other people's romantic gestures. You weren't selfish, you were just setting a completely reasonable boundary. Stand by your decision, and don't feel bad for keeping the spotlight where it belonged, on you and your partner. 2. NTA. Were Maya and Jake also planning on paying for half the costs of the reception, caterer, DJ, decorations, etc.? I mean, they wanted to share in the love of the day, so did that mean they wanted to also share in the costs of the day? Yeah, didn't think so. Again, NTA. Story 5. AITA for not having a burning urge to spend time with my partner's daughter? I've been with my fiancé for about a year and a half, and we've been living together for about 3 months. He is divorced and has an 8-year-old daughter who lives with us. He shares custody with his ex-wife, but the girl spends a lot more time with us than she does with her, as she is not very willing to visit her mother, especially in the last couple of months. The girl loves me very much and I love her, but I can't seem to develop deeper feelings towards her, as I haven't known her for her entire life, only for a year or so. I have a feeling that I will never love her as much as her father loves her, which is natural because she isn't my daughter. I haven't given birth to her and I don't have any maternal instincts, as I don't have children of my own yet. When I started dating my fiancé, his daughter spent about half a week at his place and the other half at her mother's. At the beginning, we had plenty of time to be alone and spend time with each other. However, since we started living together, it seems as though we have less time for each other because the kid is with us all the time. She doesn't want to spend time with her mother. It has honestly become exhausting for me because I like my freedom and I like to be able to relax when I get home from work and spend some time with my fiancé, but I can't do that anymore because the kid is around all the time. Don't get me wrong, I love her, she's very sweet and kind, but honestly it's becoming too much, especially because she's home all the time and I can't seem to develop the need to spend time with her or miss her when she isn't around. I don't know how to communicate this to my fiancé without hurting his feelings or making it seem like I can't stand his daughter. I knew what I was getting into from the beginning, but the situation has changed as she now spends much more time with us and I just wish we had more time for ourselves. I feel like our relationship is suffering because of this. I feel like he takes everything I've sacrificed to live with them for granted and that he feels like I have to love his daughter as if I'm her biological mother. Also, it's not like she doesn't have anyone else. Her grandmother, who she loves very much, lives very near and she could honestly spend some more time there. It's not like she needs to be home.